So you'll just need to go ahead and approve that we are recording. I know a couple people are jumping on. I'll keep dropping in chat. We take these recordings. I'll process it probably today, if not today, first thing tomorrow, and I will upload it to our YouTube channel. We've got a regional YouTube channel. I'll go ahead and drop that link in chat again. I will continue to drop that. Feel free to go in and subscribe or follow along. That's where we'll put all the regional classes that we do via Zoom or any new like tips and tricks and anything like that. So we're going to go ahead and jump on in. Thank you for being here. My name is Sydney Seymour. I have the absolute pleasure of being the regional technology trainer, also known as the RTT, for the Carolinas region. Serving North Carolina, South Carolina, 43 market centers where we've got a really great representation of both states, it looks like on this call from what everybody was dropping in chat. And I'm really passionate about working with our associates, working with amazing leaders like the ones on this call about how you can potentially save time, because that's the one thing that we can't get more of. And I think the more that we can work smarter rather than harder, it just brings your business to the next level and allows you to thrive in any market. So while I'm just kind of getting my screen squared away, what would be really helpful for me is if anybody that is able to, if you're driving, please don't drop this in chat. But if you are able to drop in chat, just what your role is, just so I have kind of a understanding or awareness of who we have here live on the call, just so we can make sure I have a plan in place. And I want to make sure that that's the correct plan that we should be. So I think we'll start to see that we potentially have a lot of director of ops, admin, transaction coordinators. Yes. Okay. Director of operations, an agent. You're welcome here as well, agents. Director of operations, transaction coordinator, rainmaker, director of ops, jack of all, master of none. That's not true because I know you. Director of operations, admin, transaction coordinator, license. Okay, so it looks like we have kind of like a mishmash of that. And I think a lot of you might work with one team, a couple of you might be transaction coordinators and you work with multiple teams or multiple agents. We're going to go down the path for all of that. So we are going to go ahead and get started. I'm really excited. I planned this for an hour. There's absolutely a chance that will not go the entire time. So potentially you could maybe eat lunch in peace or catch up on something that you would like to do if we get through this. So I am going to share my screen, and then I'm just going to pull chat up in just a second. Give me 1 second here. I'm just going to pull up chat on my other screen so that I can make sure that I see that. If during the call we have any questions or we want to chat about something more, please feel free to either come off of mute or drop it in chat. Whatever you're comfortable with is fine with me. We can make this absolutely as collaborative as possible. We've got amazing people on this call, and I know you all have amazing resources and things that you do just a little bit differently, and we can all learn from one another. So we're going to go ahead and jump on in. Can you just give me a thumbs up if you are able to see my screen that says top 5 ways it's this class? Okay, perfect. And I do have just a little bit of a slide deck that we'll go through for this, but we'll kind of jump in between this and a live environment for both ways for that. So we'll get through a lot of it. So what we're going to talk about today are the top 5 ways, and you might even have a bonus 6th way if you stay on for the entire session. So just a little tease with that, that an admin, director of ops, transaction coordinator, agent, whoever it might be, can save some time through KW Command. And again, I'm Sydney Seymour, RTT of Carolinas region. Pleasure to spend a little bit of time with all of you today. So without further ado, number 1 is to design your pipeline. So we're talking first about opportunities. And again, we're going to go into an actual live environment and take a look at this. But talking about designing your pipeline, would a lot of you say that you use the pipeline daily? Just a yes or no in chat, or a yes or a no of nodding the head. Are you in the opportunity pipeline? If not daily, potentially even hourly, and looking at different things there. So really making sure that if this is something that you're using on the daily basis, and a lot of you, again, you might be working for different teams, or you might have people that prefer it to be a little bit different. I think taking the time to make sure that we've actually designed it the way that we want to use it, and making sure that you have awareness of how that can be designed. So it's yours, use it how you see fit. And we'll talk about that. I will pull up mine, but this is an example of what I've done with mine because my brain thinks better in dates. So when I look at this, and again, I'll pull this up in a live environment, this is just a screenshot of it. I've set mine up so we know under the cultivate, okay, these are the people that are 6 to 12 months out. These are the people that are 3 to 6 months out. These are the people that are 0 to 3 months out. I'm going to pull this up in a live environment while I'm talking about a team that I had the opportunity of meeting with that's actually outside of our region. And we were kind of going through their pipeline. And I like to just see agents or teams that have kind of redone their pipeline a little bit differently, how they've done it. And I thought it was really interesting. They go in at the end of every year and they completely clean it up. But what they do with their pipeline is they go in under cultivate and they just add 12 stages that are the 12 months of the year. And say they go in. And so if I'm an agent on the team and I have a conversation with Steve and we're in June right now, and Steve says, you know, we have kind of thought of with the market that we're looking at right now, we have potentially thought of buying an investment property or selling our property, but we wouldn't even start to think about that until the summer is over or it's October or whatever it is. So they always have, for this team, it's like a rolling 12-month that they have, right? So every month you could go in and say, okay, we're going to get rid of May of last year, right? And we're either moving those people down the progression and then we're adding like June of next year. So they just essentially have it as truly a pipeline, and they've set it up that way so that at a glance, they can go in and say, like, this is kind of what we're expecting in October. This is what we're expecting in August. So I want to go in, we can do this any way, but we're going to do it by each of these phases. So in opportunities, we talk of phases and we talk of stages. Phases can never be changed. And so those are the ones that everybody's going to have. Those are the same: cultivate, appointment, active, under contract, and closed. Those 5 will always remain the same. What we can go in and change is what lives underneath those phases, which we call stages. So if I go into cultivate and I say, like, the stages that I have here, the names don't make sense to me, I don't really like them, I want to completely change that. I can do that really, really easily by going underneath each phase. And then at the top of the page, let me just move you guys around, going into that edit stages section right here. And as soon as I go into edit stages, there's a couple things I can do here. Number one, I can completely reorder them. So if I say, I actually like what's there, but I prefer that this is up here higher, I can just click on anything and I can drag it and move it. So I can completely reorder it. If I like what's there, I just want a different order of it. I can completely change the name of the stage and anything associated with that stage by coming right over here and clicking on that pencil button and saying, okay, this stage name, I no longer want it to be called builder. So I did this as an example. I was working with a team that gets a ton of business from a specific custom home builder in their market. And they wanted to be able to, they kind of handle that differently. And they know because it's a builder, it's a longer lead time, but they wanted to be able to have everything underneath that one stage. So we just called this builder. Now the probability means that's the probability that this will be a closing. If you know that your numbers are higher than this, we can come in and change that probability at any time. It will start to understand your metrics and change the probability on its own. So if we start to see, okay, of the builders that you have, like 50% of those have actually gone to closing, you'll see that the probability will start to change. And you'll see that when you look at those numbers in your pipeline, that your projected income and your potential income will start to get closer to that. So we've got the ability to completely change the stage name. Again, we can reorder it. We can also completely delete a stage. So I have some teams that I've consulted with and they're like, we actually don't like stages. We just, everyone that we're cultivating, we want one stage and we want to call it cultivate and that's it. So we actually want to get rid of all of these. We can do that at any time by just clicking that trash button right there. And then if I wanted to completely come in and add a stage, I can come in here and say, this is the stage that I want to create. This is the probability. So I would change that. It shows as a 0. And then the positioning just means the order that I want it in. So if I wanted it in a different order, I could do there. I know we've got a lot of transaction coordinators on the call. My husband runs a a real estate team as well, and he has a transaction coordinator. He has set his up so that the second he has an appointment and something goes active, he has a stage right under there that's called TC stage. And so he and his TC work together, and she knows this is the stage I look at daily. And the second that I need to handle something, I know it's in that stage. And he knows the second that I take it in and drop it to that stage, I take my hands off of it because it's handled from that point on. So we can think of stages as a multitude of ways. I also have teams that I've consulted with, and they say, we actually want stages based off of roles of the team. So here's what I mean by that. Under active, we've got an active listing. We might say, okay, we have a marketing stage right here. And this is our marketing coordinator is Sydney, and she's going to do everything when it sits in that stage. And then she's going to move it to the next stage, which is whatever it might be. So stages can be completely customized. I just don't want you to feel like, oh gosh, we have this staging stage under active and we never stage our properties. What does that even mean? We're just kind of blindly flowing through that, right? Then let's go in, let's edit the stages, and let's completely get rid of what we need, and let's completely customize what we do want to see there. And it might take a little bit of work, but where I've seen this get really crystal clear is when maybe you and the Rainmaker, or you and if there's additional admin or even agents on the team, can just kind of have like a 15-20 minute session and kind of whiteboard everything out and say, let's really go through this. And let's say when someone raises their hand and says, we're ready to sell, what happens next? And what stages would we want? And how would we want to walk that through? And then same thing with buyers, right? When someone says, oh, we're actually thinking of buying and we kind of want to start that process, what does that look like? Like, what's everything that we're doing and what are the stages that we would potentially want there? So I'm going to pause for just a second. Number one, to see if there's any questions or conversation around that. And number two, to see if anybody would like to either come off of mute or drop in chat if you have maybe different stages that you've created that are not just the out of the box ones that KW has that you'd like to share with anybody that's on this amazing Zoom call. So we'll pause for just a second for questions, or if anybody has like, oh, here's something that we do for stages and it's been really helpful.
Hi, I have a question.
Yes, hi.
Hi, if you wanted your stages to also, is there any way to tie in stages in smart plans?
There's not currently. So they're working on opportunity. We'll talk about tasks next, which is kind of like the closest kind of bridge to that, but we don't have opportunity smart plans. They're working on those where they'll actually be like date based and everything will trigger based off of that.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, great question. All right, looks like we're ready to move on. All right, step number two. So number one was pipeline. It's your pipeline. You're using it daily, potentially hourly. Make sure that it's actually how you want it to be. Number two are tasks. So we'll talk a little bit about these. These are opportunity tasks. These flow in from those stages that we just talked about. And this can be opportunity tasks with or without a due date. And I'll show you what I mean by that. But about, I would say 4 or 5 months ago, we went in and completely had an overhaul of tasks. So prior, you did have opportunity tasks, but they were like kind of hidden. They were kind of hard to find. It was just a little bit confusing. They didn't live with tasks. We've done a complete overhaul of that. They now live in the tasks applet. So it's significantly easier to see. And you have a really nice capability to filter and take a look at that. I'll show you kind of how I think of how you can run the day with that versus letting the day run you. So again, number two is tasks through opportunities. So we're going to walk through, we'll look at this first and how they actually pull in, and then we'll look at the tasks applet and see how to manage them. So I'm just going to go in, I'm in my listing pipeline. I've got an active listing here. That's a test one. We've got this fake listing right here. And you'll notice right here, I've got this checklist. Now I can also customize this under the editing of stages. And you can see that anytime I have a listing that is sitting in that staging stage, meaning we're essentially getting it ready for showings and we're getting it ready to be on the market, I've said that I want these checklist items to automatically be assigned to it. So I've said, these are the things that I want to make sure that I do every single time that a listing sets under that stage. What's cool about these checklists is you just have to create them once. So when we go into the edit of the stage, you'll notice that you'll have a checklist right here. If you've never created a checklist, which let me find one where maybe we don't have anything created. Here we go. So if you've never created a checklist, you'll notice that you'll just have 0 out of 0 or something like that, but I have all of them created. So I have the ability to go in under any of these stages and say, I want to edit the stage and I want these checklist items to be there. So again, if you've never done it, it would be 0 out of 0. But if I know, okay, every time that we're in the staging portion of this listing, this is everything that I want to happen. And to add an item, all you're going to do literally is just click on add item and then type right here what you want that to be. You'll notice over here, you've got these little dots that allows us to move everything up and down. So if I say, I actually want to reorder this and I want this to be up higher, I can come in and completely do that. What the system now does is if I don't put any sort of date here. So for example, if I go into my active listings, I look here at my checklist, I do have the ability to come right in here and to say, I want to set a due date for this, but I'd have to do that manually for each of these. So I can come in and say, yep, want to do a due date for that. However, with the new tasks rollout, I can also just go into my tasks at any time, and everything that we're going to go through today is available on the desktop as we're seeing it now, but also through the app. So that's something that's really nice here as well. So you'll notice when I come into my tasks, I've got all of these different tasks here. I have the ability to come right up here and filter. And one of my favorite capabilities is the ability to filter by a contact task. So think of that as a smart plan task or a task that I said I need to call this contact and I manually created that task. But I can also say, show me my opportunity tasks. And so by just checking that box right there next to opportunity and then choosing apply filters, it only shows me what I have for potential opportunities that I have. So you'll see this is the actual task itself. This is who it is linked to or the opportunity that it is linked to. This is who it's potentially assigned to, priority, and then the due date for that. So by creating those tasks, essentially those checklist items, yes, we can see them when they have a due date. However, we can also see them if I go back in, we can see them with all of our contact tasks as well. So we can come through and really kind of filter down by that. So again, those pull from checklist. We could enter the date that it's due. It will also just show here if we don't have a due date, that will show up under all opportunity tasks. Again, you only have to create the checklist once for each stage of that. So if I come in and say, this is the stage, this is what I want associated with it, we just have to create it once for that. With the checklist, can you assign to different people on the team? Yes. Do they go to the person assigned task list? Yes. So I can come into opportunities, and I believe I'm in my team account, so I can show you what that looks like. So yes, if I go into any of these opportunities here, and I say I've got a checklist item here, you'll see, let's say that one of these has not been done. Perfect. I can come in here and I can decide, let me find one that I haven't actually done. So if I come into an opportunity and let's say that I want to add an item, we're just going to add this. I have this assign button right here and it will show every member of my team. And so I can decide who I would like to assign that to. And I can assign that for this opportunity. And then what's really cool, I'm in as a rainmaker, so I'm going to see everything. So as a rainmaker, or a lot of you that were director of ops, admin, that probably have that unlimited permissions, you'll see that when you go into all of your tasks, you'll have your team tasks and you'll have my tasks. I'm under the team task, so I can see who it's assigned to and who it was created by. So I can see, and I can even filter by that. So I can come up here and filter and say, show me all of the call tasks. I just know I have a bunch of those. And then show me the ones that are unassigned, show me the ones that are assigned to me, or show me the ones that are assigned to a member of my team. And I have the ability to see all of that at a glance here as well. When you change the opportunity checklist, will it sync with pre-existing opportunities, or do you have to go in and manually change them still? Bobby, I think it will go in as long. So if I went in and changed the checklist items in, let's say, active, and that particular opportunity wasn't in the active stage yet, then yes, everything will update. If I went in and changed a checklist and I changed the checklist under cultivate and the opportunity was already in active or under contract, I don't believe it will go backwards for that. So hopefully that answers that question. If it doesn't, let me know. Any other questions on checklist items? How does the person assigned to the task receive the notification? Great question. So it depends on how they have their notifications set up. So we have really nice sections where you can go in under each of your accounts. So if I go and click on my name up here and go into settings, which looks like the little kind of gear shift right there, I've got a full notification settings that is under general settings. And then I've got notification preferences, and you'll see you've got like everything directly through here. So tasks right here, you'll have the ability to get that daily notification when you have tasks due today or overdue tasks. I can decide, do I want that a desktop in app, which means that they just come through the bell notification? Do I want a mobile in app, which just means through the consumer app? I'm sorry, through the command app, I'm going to see it. Mobile push is the closest to you've got a task due today. Currently with notifications, if you had 10 tasks that were due, you would not get 10 notifications. You would get 1 notification a day of here are your upcoming tasks that are due. I don't know if that'll change in the future. Through labs, they actually said they wanted 1 notification a day versus like 100 of that. So if you feel like you would prefer to have it differently, please, ideas.kw.com is a best source for that. Any other questions on checklists that can then go into tasks? Again, we're just having to do it once, set it up how we see fit. Good. Okay. We're going to go back to opportunities for the next one, but we'll just pull up the slide deck real quick and see that number 3 is the details section, which I think is a little bit of a section in opportunities that we don't always use. And I'm going to show you in the next tip, which is tip number 4, why we might want to enter those details. So I have, just make sure you enter the details. We'll go through this and where to pull this from. At least the ones that you want to track or the ones that you want to see at a glance. And I'll show you what I mean about that. So for this, we're going to go into command again. And this time we're going to go into an opportunity. And I just went ahead of time prior to this class and filled out a bunch of information just so we could kind of see what that looks like. So we're not having to take the time to do it together. So I'll go into an opportunity that I have in my team account and show you what that looks like. So to show you the details and how important it is, I'm going to go into, I've got my demo account right here. I've got one that's under contract, and then you'll see I can scroll over. This is a little, I actually had an agent that said, I want a stage like that. It's called The Deal is Blowing Up. So it's an agent that has completely kind of stepped out of production. And when they need to be pulled into anything, they are. So they said, I want the one stage where I don't look at anything else besides that. And we just called it The Deal is Blowing Up. So you can add some humor to the stages if you would like. So you'll notice when I go into the opportunity, I think all of you are really, really comfortable, and you probably do this a lot as you're using DocuSign or Dotloop or different transactions. When I go into the actual opportunity, I've got this details tab right here where I understand that at first look, it looks like, gosh, that's just a lot of information to fill out, but I'll show you really where this comes into play and why it's important. So you'll see that I've got key information up here. This is the type of opportunity it is, the name of the opportunity. All of this we entered in the very beginning when we created the opportunity. Contact name, that's who's associated with it. If there's a co-seller, what phase it's under, what stage it's under, and then if there's any custom tags, which we'll kind of come back to in just a moment. Underneath that, we've got this information that's called key dates. And I'd be curious, I'm just going to look in chat. Are any of you filling out these key dates at all? Just a yes or a no? Okay, we got a yes, we got a no. We got a no, we got a yes. Okay, so a little bit of a mixed bag, which is fine. It is pretty easy. And again, I know every team is different. So some of you might say, well, the agents are filling that out, or I'm filling that out if I know it. So I get that every team, every transaction coordinator, director of ops kind of works a little bit differently there. However, there's really cool information here when we go into the key dates. And I would just encourage you to kind of get into the habit of filling out only what you know. Obviously, if we don't know it or it's not important, we might not want to fill it out. But some of these stuff, like, for example, if we come in here and put when was the appointment scheduled, when was the appointment date, when was it won, contract date and closing date, that actually pulls into your agent's goals. And so that actually pulls into, okay, you need this many appointments, you need this many under contract, you need this many closing. All of that data pulls from this. So if they're not entering this or they don't have the data, that's where potentially in their goal metrics, it's not really lining up with what they've actually done. That pulls directly from here. Then we have these other dates down here, the photography date, staging, when is the target live date in MLS? I won't read through all of these, but we've got a lot of these new dates here that came up probably within the last month or so. So just encouraging your agents or yourself to go in and fill in as many dates as possible, just so we have them at a glance right here. Obviously, we've got financial information, potential commission, and then we've got over here just the address. We do have parties to the transaction. This is a really nice new feature. So your market center has set up what we call vendors. And so if I go in and say, okay, I actually know who the attorney is for this. And so I want to come in and I want to say that the attorney is this particular person. You'll see that if that attorney that I'm using isn't listed, I have the ability to create a new vendor right from here. So if you know, okay, we always use this one attorney, this is our vendor, we can come in and then you'll be able to choose them really, really quickly to add them into the parties of the transaction. This was released about a month ago. And then we've got, if we're working with the seller, we want to have a seller's worksheet where we're looking at potentially what the actual net is on any sort of offer comparison. You could have all that information down here. So making sure we're entering all the details, because number one, this can be seen here. This can be seen by the agents that are assigned to this here and also through the app. However, what I really want to show you is tip number 4, which is the ability to generate the transaction summary directly from here. So again, just a yes or no in chat. I'm just curious, has anybody seen or are you using the new generate transaction summary, or is this something new that we're not? Okay, so some of you are. It looks like we've got some no's. Okay, I hope this is worth the cost of admission to this class, which was 0. If anyone charged you, then you need your money back. But I hope that this is worth it, because this has been one of the biggest feature requests that we've had from Director of Ops, admins, as well as agents. And this just went live about a month ago. So you'll notice that in every single opportunity, you're going to have this new button right here that says generate transaction summary. As soon as I click on that, this box is going to pop up with all of these different things that I can choose. Do I want this on there or not? So I can say, okay, do I want all of the key dates? Yes or no. So I can uncheck it as far as what I'd like. I'm just going to add all of them. And then I can even reorder. So for example, if you're like, we actually want to see the commission at the top of it, I can take and I can do the same thing. I can take this and drag this and move anything that I want and really completely reorder anything. And then for each opportunity, as soon as I decide what I'd like to have or what I'd like to see, I can then choose generate, and then it creates literally in seconds this transaction summary for you. So if we go through this together, you've got key information right up here. This is all of the information. This is the stage that it lives in, estimated listing price. Again, we moved that commission summary right to the top of the page. So we've got all of that information right here. And then we've got all of those key dates. So I know a lot of you still like to print things out and have things in front of you, or you potentially have a folder, and that is 100% okay. This is nice that you can print this out and kind of at a glance be able to see that. We've got any transaction dates over here. We've got the opportunity checklist for the stage that it's in. So if you actually wanted to have that entire checklist of items, we could have that through here as well. And then we've got the offer details if that applies. So we've got information here. We've got the parties to the transaction, which would be the buyer and the seller, whoever we're representing or we've entered. And then again, this is those vendors. I only entered a home warranty for this one, but if we had all of the vendors, we'd see all of that information right here. So I hope that this, what I've seen when I've met with a lot of director of ops or transaction coordinators, is you're taking a lot of time to create something like this on your own. So my hope is that maybe this will save you a little bit of time. And then the suggestion that I've been making when I've been meeting with agents or rainmakers. So if you're an agent, maybe listen to this. If you're a director of ops or an admin, listen to this and share this with your rainmaker or agent as if it was your own idea. What I've been recommending is, what does it look like if we create a fake one of these, right? So we have like, or maybe a real one, but perhaps we take the commission summary off because they already think that agents make too much money for what they do. But we take this transaction summary and we take it to every listing appointment and we take it to every buyer's consultation. And so we're able to show them at a glance, this is, we have one of these for every single time that your transaction moves through the process. This is how we create this at a glance to make sure no balls gets dropped, nothing gets dropped in the cracks. We ensure that we're on top of everything at all times for you. So I always want to encourage you to think about, how can we use Command for our current business, but also what do we have in Command that we can take and show the value of you as an agent of how we can potentially find future business as well. So hopefully this might be something that is really nice for that. So this just is generated as a PDF. So you could email, you could download, you could save it, whatever you'd like to do there. And any member of the team has the ability to go in and click on that generate transaction detail. So again, we've got, I know, amazing director of operations or admins here on this call. However, as an agent myself, I could go in at any time and just kind of take a look at that and be able to see that. Jerry, I only have 3 options on the transaction summary. So that might be pulling in the data that you have. So if we haven't entered like any information over here, we might not see that. If you want to stay on for a little bit after, I might even be able to have you share your screen and we can see if something's going on there. Any questions on that feature? I saw I love that. So, okay, good. We like that you love it. All right, cool. So let's go back to the slide. So we talked about entering details. We talked about generating the transaction summary. So we see all of that right there. Again, you can pick and choose what you would like, as well as the order of how we'd like to see that. If your rainmaker or your agent that you're working with doesn't know about this, go show them today and tell them it took you hours to create it. Just kidding. All right, number 5, or sorry, 4 was the transaction summary. So picking and choosing again, and then this is just what that looks like for that. And then number 5 is opportunity tags. So I'm curious about this. And again, I'll have you go to chat for me. Are any of you using opportunity tags? And while you're answering that, I do see, Tanya, that this is a question. Will this recording be available after this session? Yes, it will be. And it'll be on our Carolina's YouTube channel. So tags. Okay, yeah, a lot of you are using custom tags. So sometimes when I meet with teams or agents, individual agents, teams, whoever it might be, I find that some are using tags, some are not. I'll show you some of my favorite ways to use tags. So we have the ability when we go into any opportunity, we have the ability, again, when we're entering that key information, and I can also do it from the very beginning when I'm first creating the opportunity. I have the ability to come right here to custom tags. Now, these are custom tags that I've already created. If it was a new custom tag or something that I was creating for the first time, so we might say test is a tag that we want. I'm just going to click right here where it says create test, and then I created that test tag. You can also manage these in your settings under just your Command general settings under opportunities as well, but this is just a nice place to be able to do that on the go. I also can then really filter down by these specific tags. And I'll show you my favorite way of doing that. And I'll give you an example. So I saw a lot of you saying in the chat that yes, you are using tags. Would you mind just typing in chat if you said yes to that, what types of tags that you're using, just so that people that have never used them before, or maybe kind of open to the idea or something new for them, in case they're like, oh, I wouldn't think of using a tag for that, but I love that. So while I'm just pulling into all of my opportunities, if you don't mind just sharing a little bit about how you're using those. So I'm going to go while we're pulling that up, and then we'll kind of chat about those together. I'm going to go into my opportunities, and then across the top of the page, the default is what we probably always go to, either the team or the individual. I'm actually going to go right here to all opportunities. And let's see what we have here. These are really great tags. Transaction year, are they a buyer, seller, military? So that's probably big in your market. Luxury, move up, downsize, first time home buyer. Love that, Monica. Buyer, seller, past client, VIP referral, excuse me, language preference, homeowner. So really great data about the client. Giveaways, who's the assigned agent, investor, past client. So I love all of those examples. Those are all really great examples of how we're kind of cultivating or who the client is. If you're not using vendor tags, that's going to be my tip for you with tags, because what I see is a lot of times we have agents that say, okay, we always use this home inspector. We always use this attorney. We always use this mortgage rep. We always use whatever it is, right? I would assume that it would be very nice in a compliant way for you to have awareness of how many transactions you recommended this vendor be used for. So that in the third quarter, when we're doing the big back to school client appreciation event, and you need the Kona ice truck or the snow cone truck, and you want that covered by someone, I would imagine that it would be really, really valuable for you to be able to come in and say, in the last 12 months, it looks like you've been able to close X number of transactions. Would you be interested in paying for XYZ? We're gonna, yes, thank you, Matt, scratching backs. So a really easy way, as long as you're using the tags, is to come in and take a look at all opportunities. And then I can come right here and I just click on that filter button. And you'll notice as soon as I go into filters, I have tons of filtering that I can do. So I can really say, like, show me all the listings, show me all the buyers, show me this specific phase. So I might say closed, whatever it is. I can even search by the contact. What I want to talk about are tags, though. I can come down here and I can say, show me everybody that has this specific tag. And I can even come in and say the closing date is a custom close date. So I can come here to close date and say custom, and I want this close date range of a specific time period, when it was created. So I can really get like a little bit granular here and then just hit apply. And then I have the ability to see right here, and I can see right here the phase that they're in. So I could even say, like, if they were in the closed phase, I could see volume there. I could see when they closed, if they were closed transactions, and then those tags that are associated with it. I can see if they're listing, if they're buyers. If it's a team, I can even see who potentially was assigned to it for that as well. So again, this might be something that you might want to go and kind of like whiteboard or think about, like do a little bit of like a think tank with your team of who are the main, like the 5 to 6 vendors that we're kind of using that we want to have data about. Also, sometimes we see maybe we're using this one vendor for a lot of things and we feel like, oh, we're getting a great return on that. But by looking at it here, we might see like most of our transactions that we're using that vendor for are not going to closing. So they're not coming to fruition for that. So because you might have like 3 different, let's say, lenders that you're using. It might be really valuable for you to see, well, that's interesting. When we go with this one lender, it looks like we have an 80% chance of something actually closing, versus when we go through this one lender, it looks like we're more at like a 40 to 50% chance there. So just really being able to kind of pull your own data, pull your own metrics through here. just adding those custom tags can really help. We talked about builders earlier. So a lot of you might be working with custom builders. That might be something that we want to take a look at. A lot of you might be working with more like first-time home buyers. That might be something. So thinking about like the buckets of lead gen and then specific items that we might want to additionally tag there is nice. Questions on that from anyone? Yeah, love all the ideas that you all had for tags too. Really incredible. So thank you for sharing that. I always learn a ton from all of you. All right, so back to the PowerPoint. That was number 5. However, you know that I told you that I was going to give you a bonus tip. So get excited with that. So bear with me 1 second. I am going to just stop sharing screen because the bonus tip is available through the command app. So let me just pull that up. Give me 1 second. And we're going to go into my app. So I'm just going to share this way. And then if I can just get a thumbs up if you're able to see what looks like my command app. Awesome. Thank you for that. So continuing down the path of opportunities, remember on the command app, you have the ability to see your entire database through the command app. You can make phone calls through it. You have the ability to add multiple contacts to a smart plan. You have the ability to edit contacts on a go. You have the ability to see tasks on the go. You have the ability to do all of these things. You also have the ability to see opportunities on the go. And we can see on our dashboard here, we've got open opportunities, which are here. Those are all of your opportunities that you have. And then down here under the 3 lines, the hamburger menu right there, that's going to open it up where we can really see all of our opportunities. And there's some really great functionality that you actually have on the app that you don't have on the desktop here that might be really valuable to you. So I'm going to go right into opportunities. And you'll notice I've got a couple different things here. I've got my full pipeline. I've got listings. I've got buyers. I've got landlords, and I've got tenants. A lot of times what I hear from a lot of agents or a lot of transaction coordinators or director of ops is we never work with landlords or tenants. Like, is there a way for us to just kind of completely turn that pipeline off? You can't turn it off, but you can hide it from your view through the app. So when I'm in the app, if I click on manage layout at the top right, you'll notice that I've got listings, buyers, landlords, tenants. If I click the little eyeball on any of them, it's basically not showing that in my view. So if I don't want to see the landlords, I don't want to see the tenants, I don't want to get confused with that. And I just want to see what I need to be working on. I can do that really easily there. The other thing that's really nice is I can also reorder it. So a lot of times I work with teams and the buyer specialist says like, that's cool that we have listings. I never need to see that. Like, I just work with buyers. That's what I do. You might be a director of ops and you're like, I kind of handle just the listing side. I don't need to see the buyers first or at a glance, or vice versa. Yes, I could hide it, but I could also do the same thing and just click on those 6 dots on the left and just completely reorder it. So if I actually prefer and I want to see my buyers first, I can do that and completely reorder it. Then I just hit save. And then you'll notice that I've got the ability to see all of my buyers, everything here. Really cool. If I kind of like swipe just a little bit to the left, I'll be able to see all of the information. You see, I can see my potential versus my probable, what I have in each specific stage there, average days of sitting in that stage. So I have the ability, if I just like swipe left and hold it, to see all of the information. I also can click directly into the under contract from here. And this is where you can see it's in the TC stage right now. I can come in here under escrow and see anything that I have there. Click on the 3 dots to be able to view the contact, view them on a map, all of the details, see all of the information there. So really at a glance. I can also expand the cards at the top, which then allows me to see really a very similar kind of desktop version that I see there of all of the information for that particular opportunity. And then again, I can go back at any time and say, let me do the same thing for my listings that I've got in Cultivate, and really be able to see all of the different information that I've got there. So just kind of customizing your layout, I think, is really powerful. Obviously, the pipeline is going to be that first view. We've also got all, where I have the ability again to filter, see all of my opportunities that are coming. And then I love that we also have this closing soon. So based off of closing date, we've got the ability to see really kind of what do I need to be focusing on, really at a glance, what do I need to see there as well. All right, let me unshare here. I'll pause for just a second to see if there's any specific questions about anything that we covered. I am going to drop in chat one more time because this recording will be available on our YouTube channel. Let me just grab that link real quick and I'll drop that in chat for all of you. Like I said, I'll try to get it processed today, if not today, first thing tomorrow. So we'll drop that right in here so that all of you can see that. Perfect. There we go. So thank you guys. I know to take 50 minutes out of your day is a lot. So thank you. I appreciate it. I'll end the recording here. I'm happy to stay on if anybody has questions or we want to chat about anything. Melissa, in the team settings, if you change the layouts, does it change it for everyone on the team? It does not. It's just based off of your view and your visibility. So not for everyone. So thank you to everyone that is here. If we can help you with anything, please let us know. Hopefully this was helpful and we will process the recording and I hope you all have a great day. Thanks, everyone.